Okay, so this is the part of our chapter 2. So ito yung pag-uusapan natin. Pag sinabing sources of income, so it is not about the place, pero it's about the property, activity, or services that produce the income. Ngayon, ito yung rules na nag-a-apply. Kapag resident citizen ka, lahat ng income mo derived from sources within and without the Philippines, ibig sabihin inside or outside the Philippines, lahat yon ay taxable. Pero kapag non-resident citizen ka and alien individuals ka, ibig sabihin non-resident alien ka man or non-resident alien ka, ang magiging taxable lang sa'yo ay lahat ng income derived from sources within the Philippines. So, lahat ng income nila outside or without the Philippines ay hindi taxable. Paano yung mga overseas contract worker? So, syempre, yung income nila doon ay nasa labas ng Philippines. Hindi yung taxable. So, an overseas contract worker is taxable only on his income from sources within the Philippines. What are the different categories of income and tax rates? So first is the compensation income. So individuals earning purely compensation income shall be taxed based on the graduated income tax rates. Na-discuss na natin sa definition of terms ang ibig sabihin ng compensation income. Ito yung mga income na nakukuha mo under an employer-employee relationship or contract. So, pag sinabing graduated, na-discuss din to sa chapter 1, these are taxes na yung tax rate nag-i-increase as the tax base increases. Another one is the business income. So, business income arises from self-employment or practice of profession. This shall not include income from performance of services with the taxpayer as an employee. So, kapag business income, yun lang yung yung income mo na nanggagaling sa pagpapractice mo ng profession. For example, CPA ka, nagbo-bookkeep ka, nag-render ka ng bookkeeping services. So, ang tawag sa binabayad sa'yo ay business income. So, individuals earning income purely from self-employment and or practice of profession whose gross sales or receipts and other non-operating income, GSRO and OI, do not exceed the 3 million baht threshold shall have the option to avail the following. Ibig sabihin, kapag isa kang individual earning income from self-employment or practice of profession at hindi lumalagpas sa 3 million VAT threshold yung gross sales or receipts mo and other non-operating income mo, meron kang two options na pwedeng i-avail when it comes to tax. Pwedeng graduated rates or pwedeng 8% tax of GSRO-NOI in excess of 250,000 pesos. So, yan yung pwede mong i-avail kung hindi ka nag-exceed sa 3 million VAT threshold. Next is mixed income earners. Ano naman tong mga to? These are individuals who earn income both from compensation and from self-employment. So, pwedeng meron kang business at the same time, empleyado ka pa. So, dalawa yung pinanggagalingan ng income mo. So, ang tawag sa'yo ay mixed income earners. Pero, syempre, dapat ma-separate when it comes to the computation of tax, dapat ma-separate yung income mo from your employer at yung income mo sa pagpapractice mo ng business or ng profession mo. Para sa compensation income mo, i-compute yung tax mo using the graduated rates. For the income naman ng business or practice of profession, it will be subject to the following. Kung hindi pa rin siya nag-exceed sa 3 million VAT threshold yung GSRO-NOI mo, as mentioned a while ago, pwede kang mag-avail ng either graduated rates or 8% of GSRO-NOI. Pero kung nag-exceed ka naman sa 3 million VAT threshold, ang gagamitin mo ay graduated rates. Ito yung summary of income tax rates on individual, citizen, and resident alien. Yan yung na-discuss kanina. Another category of income and tax rates is passive income. So, passive income is subject to a separate and final tax. Ano ba yung mga different examples of passive income? Ito yung mga interests, royalties, prices, winnings, and dividends. So, example, Elena de la Cruz, single and resident citizen, has the following passive income for the year: interest from BPI savings deposit, royalty from invention, prize in a painting competition, and dividends received from a domestic corporation. Paano mo i-compute yung final tax mo? So, every passive income, may katumbas siyang final tax. For interest, royalty, and price, 20% ang final tax niya. Pero pag dividends, 10% lang ang final tax niya. So, i-compute mo siya kada passive income. So, interest is 15,000, which is 20% of the income, and so on. So, the total final tax here is 44,000. Next is capital gains from sale of shares of stock not traded through the local stock exchange. So the tax is 15% final tax on a per transaction basis. So kada transaction, 15% ang final tax niya. Illustration. In 2018, Uri Dangal, a resident citizen, owns and holds as capital assets shares of stocks of Prudential Guarantee and Assurance Inc., a domestic corporation costing 40,000. He sold all the shares directly to Lilibeth Buen for 160,000. How much final tax must be paid? So, i-compute muna natin yung capital gains niya. Kung binenta niya ng 160,000, ang cost is 40,000, syempre, ang capital gains niya is 120,000. Para makuha natin yung tax, i-multiply natin siya at 15%. So, the capital gains tax in this example is 18,000 pesos. Next is the capital gains from sale of property. So, here, the final tax is 6%. 6% on the gross selling price or current fair market value at the time of sale, whichever is higher. So, titignan pa natin kung magkano yung selling price at magkano yung current fair market value. Kung ano yung mas mataas doon, yun yung i-multiply natin ng 6%. Example, in 2018, Nikos Luna, a resident citizen, sold his residential house and lot in Singalong, Manila for 2,500,000. The cost of the house and lot 3 years ago when he acquired the property was 1,500,000 and the fair market value at the time of sale is 2.3. How much is the capital gains from the sale? So dito, syempre, ang kukunin nating selling price is the gross selling price, which is higher than the fair market value. So 2.5 compared sa 2.3. So mas mataas yung 2.5. Yun yung i-multiply natin ng 6% to get the final tax of 150,000. So baka nalilito ka na, ma'am, bakit yung example kanina dineduct yung cost ng binebenta niya? Well, dito kasi sa number 5, capital gains from sale of share stock, ang itatax mo kasi is 15% final tax galing sa mismong capital gains. Gain. Di ba kapag gain, yun yung kinita mo. So, selling price minus costs. So, yun yung sinubject sa capital gains tax. Dito naman, sa real property, nakalagay dun sa rule niya na ang isa-subject mo lang sa final tax is the gross selling price or current fair market value, whichever is higher. Gross, ibig sabihin, hindi pa nababawas yung any costs gaya nitong cost when acquired of 1.5. So, yan yung capital gains. Next is the fringe benefits. So, fringe benefits means any good, service, or other benefit furnished or granted by an employer in cash or in kind in addition to basic salaries to an individual employee, except rank and file employees. So, ito lang yung mga nasa supervisory level, directors, gano'n. Under an employer-employee relationship. So, the tax is 35% final tax based on the grossed up monetary value granted to employee beginning January 1, 2018. So, the grossed up monetary value of the fringe benefit shall be determined by dividing the actual monetary value of the fringe benefits by 65%. So, i-gross up mo daw muna siya by dividing it to 65%. So, example, in June 2018, Boris Del Pilar, a resident citizen, received from his employer fringe benefit of 65,000. So, this fringe benefit is subject to fringe benefit tax. Ito yung computation niya. Siyempre, yung value, sabi kanina, i-divide mo daw muna siya sa 65% para mag-gross up. So, 100,000. Saka mo siya i-multiply sa final tax rate na 35% para makuha mo yung fringe benefit tax. Ito yung summary ng income and the tax rates applicable for each type of individual. So, on taxable income, pag resident, citizen, and alien, pare-parehas lang. Pag not engaged, so ito yun. At pag not engaged, ito siya. So, ayan yung summary niya. Next is, let's discuss more on the passive income. So, kanina, nabanggit na natin yung passive income. So, it is subject to a separate and final tax at fixed rates ranging from 5% to 25%. So, iba-iba kasi siya, depende sa passive income. They are not included in the computation of taxable income from compensation or business professional income. Bakit? Kasi syempre, isa-subject mo na siya sa final tax. For example, may dividend income ka. Hindi ko na siya idadagdag dun sa income ko pag nag-compute ako ng taxable income. Kasi meron na siyang sariling tax which is the final tax. So, ito yung summary ng rates. Depende kung saan nanggaling yung, kung anong klase yung passive income mo. So, pag interest, so ito siya, or revisit na lang. Okay. So, yan yung different rates on passive income. Next is the taxable income and tax due. Yun yung i-discuss natin kung paano mag-compute ng taxable income and tax due. Okay. So, as mentioned before, taxable income refers to the pertinent items of gross income specified in the code less deductions. So, kung ano yung nakuha mong income, syempre ibabawas pa yung mga deductions mo para ma-compute siya. So, individual citizen, an individual resident alien of the Philippines. So, in general, the income tax on the individual's tax income should be computed based on the following schedules as provided by Section 24A. So, ito yung mga rates, income tax rates, effective January 2018 until December 31, 2022. So, ito yung mga naging effect ng train law. So, paano ba ito gamitin? Kung kunwari, ang taxable income mo ay hanggang 250,000 lang. Kunwari, ang taxable income mo for the year, 250,000 lang. So, wala kang babayarang tax. For example, 10,000 ang sweldo mo monthly. So, there are 12 months in a year. So, sumeldo ka lang ng 120,000. Hindi siya umabot sa 250,000. May tax ba yun? So, wala. Paano naman to? Over 250, not over 400,000. For example, ang sweldo mo ay within sa range na to. Ang sweldo mo ay 300,000 pesos. Paano mo i-compute yung tax? So, kung ang taxable income mo ay 300,000, paano mo i-compute yung tax due mo? So, 300,000 times 20% ba? Hindi. Kailangan ibawas muna natin yung 250,000. So, 300,000 minus 250,000. So, 50,000 times 20% na tax rate. Ang magiging tax due mo ay 20. Ang magiging tax due mo ay 10,000 pesos. So, ganun siya gamitin. Ganun gamitin yung table na to. For example naman, dito tayo sa third level. 400,000 tsaka 800,000. Kunwari ang sweldo mo ay 600,000. So, nandito siya sa level na to. Within sa range na to. Paano mo kukumpitin yung tax? Kapag daw pasok dito, sa range na to yung sweldo mo, automatic, meron ka ng tax na 30,000. Pero, madadagdagan pa siya ng 25%. Paano mo i-compute yun? Kung 600,000 yung sweldo mo, nandito siya sa range na to. So, 600,000 minus yung excess na to. So, 600,000 minus 400,000 kasi ito yung nandito. Ito daw yung ibawas mo. Ibig sabihin, yung excess ng makukompute mo dito, yun lang yung isa-subject mo ng rate. So, 600,000 minus 400,000 is 200,000. Yun yung pwede mong i-multiply na 25%. So, the tax due is 50,000 plus yung original dito na 30,000. So, total tax due mo ay 80,000 pesos. O last example, para mas mag-grasp yung paggamit nitong table na to. Kunwari, yung sweldo mo is 1 million per year. So, nandito ka sa bracket na to, 800 to 2 million. So, ibig sabihin, itong 130,000, automatic na to, tax mo na to. Pero kailangan nating makompute kung ano yung isa-subject mo sa 30%. Eh, sabi dito, ang itatax lang daw ng 30% ay yung excess ng 800,000. So, kanina sabi ko, ang sweldo mo is 1 million. So, ibawas natin tong excess na 800,000 kasi yun lang yung subject sa 30%. So, 200,000 times 30%. So, ang tax due mo is 60,000 plus itong basic amount na to of 130,000. So, total tax is 190,000. So, itong income tax rates na to is effective lang from January 1, 2018 to December 31, 2022. Another one, ito naman is effective ng January 1, 2023 onwards. Ganun din naman yung computation. Mapapansin mo lang, nagbago yung tax rate dahil yan sa trail law. Next is how will you compute if the individuals are earning purely compensation income? So, individuals earning purely compensation income shall be taxed based on the income tax rates prescribed under subsection A hereof. So, syempre, taxable income per compensation earners is the gross compensation income less, syempre yung natanggap mong compensation income, babawasan mo pa yun ng mga non-taxable income or benefits mo, gaya ng 13th month pay and other benefits gaya ng de minimis, employees share in the SSS, GSIS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, and lahat yun. Ibabawas pa yun para makuha yung net taxable income. Sample, Husband and wife Okay. Husband and wife shall compute their individual income tax separately based on their respective taxable income. So if any income cannot be definitely attributed to or identified as income exclusively earned or realized by either of the spouses, the same shall be divided equally between the spouses for the purpose of determining their respective taxable income. Ito tandaan nyo, minimum wage earners shall be exempt from the payment of income tax based on their statutory minimum wage rates. Kasi malamang, pag minimum wage earner, hindi siya aabot dun sa table natin kanina na 250,000 pesos. So the holiday pay, overtime pay, night shift, differential pay, and hazard pay are likewise exempt kung ikaw ay minimum wage earner. First illustration, example. Mr. CSO, a minimum wage earner, works for GOD and he is not engaged in business nor has any other source of income rather than his employment. So for 2018, Mr. CSO earned a total compensation of income of 135,000. The taxpayer contributed to the SSS PhilHealth and HDMF amounting to 5,000 and he has received 13-month pay of 11,000. His income tax liability will be computed as follows. Yung compensation income niya is 135. Ibabawas natin yung mandatory benefits niya. Yung SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, total of 16,000. So, ang taxable income lang niya is 119,000. Magkano ang tax niya? So, tax is exempt since he is considered a minimum income earner. Next, the following year, Mr. CSO earned, aside from his basic wage, additional pay of 140,000, which consists of the overtime pay, the 80,000, night differential na 30,000, hazard pay, and holiday pay. So, he has the same benefits and contributions dun sa first example. Magkano ang magiging tax niya? So, kung total compensation income niya is 135,000, i-add mo yung holiday pay niya and overtime, etc. Total income niya is 275, less the mandatory contributions of 16,000. So, the net taxable income is 259. Pero may tax due ba siya? Wala. Exempt siya. Kasi sabi kanina, basta minimum wage earner ka, hindi taxable yung compensation income mo and other additional pay. So, tax exempt ka. Taxpayer is exempt as a minimum wage earner. Next is self-employed individuals earning income purely from self-employment or practice of profession. Sabi natin kanina, kapag individuals earning income purely from self-employment in or practice of profession, kapag hindi nag-exceed ng 3 million VAT threshold, meron kang dalawang option to avail the graduated rates or the 8% of GSRONI in excess of 250,000 pesos. So, yung excess ng 250,000 pesos, yun lang yung isa-subject mo ng 8%. At ito yung computation niya, gross sales or receipts, less cost of sales, yun yung gross income mo, less operating expenses, at yun yung taxable income mo. So, let's try. Ito pala. So, a taxpayer who signifies the intention to avail of the 8%, kunwari namili na siya, graduated rate or 8%. So, a taxpayer who signifies the intention to avail of the 8% income tax rate option and is conclusively qualified for the said option at the end of the taxable year, qualified ka kasi hindi ka nag-exceed sa 3 million, shall compute the final annual income tax due based on the actual annual gross sales, receipts, and other non-operating income. So, the tax The said income tax due shall be in lieu of the graduated rates of income tax and the percentage tax rate under Section 116 of the Tax Code as amended. So financial statements is not required to be attached in filing the final income tax rate. However, existing rules and regulations on bookkeeping and invoicing receipts shall still apply. So ito yung sample. Mr. EBQ operates a convenience store while she offers bookkeeping services to her clients. So, dalawa. Meron siyang convenience store at the same time, meron siyang bookkeeping services. In 2018, her gross sales amounted to 800,000 in addition to her receipts from bookkeeping services of 300,000. So, mixed income earner siya. She already signified her intention to be taxed at 8% income tax rate in her first quarter. So, magkano yung magiging income tax liability niya? Kailangan natin i-separate yung gross sales niya sa convenience store at gross sales niya sa bookkeeping. So, total receipts niya is 1,100,000 pesos. At dahil nagsabi siya ng ang intention niya is mag-avail ng 8% income tax rate, ganito i-compute yung income tax niya. So, gross sales of 1,100,000 less 600,000. So, meron siyang 500,000 na gross income less nagulo yung yung word file. So, 800,000 plus 300,000 is 1,100,000. Siyempre, ibabawas natin yung allowable deduction na 250,000. So, ang taxable income tax due mo is 850,000 times 8%, which is 68,000 pesos. So, ulit, gross sales, convenience store is 800,000 plus gross receipts, bookkeeping is 300,000. So, total sales or receipts mo is 1,100,000 less amount allowed as deduction under Section 24 of 250,000. So, ang taxable income mo is 850,000. 1,100,000 less 250,000. So, ang taxable income is 850,000. So, yung 850,000, yun lang yung pwede mo i-multiply sa 8% na tax rate na in-avail mo. So, ang sagot is 68,000 pesos. So, yan yung computation niya. Dahil 8% ang in-avail niya. Next illustration, illustration 3. Si Ms. EBQ above failed to signify her intention to be taxed at 8%. Hindi niya na sabi na gusto niyang matax ng 8% on gross sales in her initial quarterly income tax return. And she incurred costs of sales and operating expenses including amounting 600,000 and 200,000 respectively, or a total of 800,000 pesos. So the income tax shall be computed as follows. Gross sales, 1,100,000 less yung cost of sales mo. So that the gross income is 500 less yung operating expenses mo pa. So the total taxable income is only 300,000 pesos. So syempre, ibabawas mo pa rin yung 250,000 na amount allowed as deduction. Yun yung i-multiply mo sa 20%. Ma'am, paano mo nakuha yan? Balikan natin yung table sa taas para hindi ka malito. So, ito yung table na gagamitin daw kapag 2018 hanggang December 31, 2022. Ito yung example natin. Gamitin natin itong table na to. dito, yung illustration, gamitin natin yung table na ginagamit pag nagko-compute ng tax. Ito. So, dahil hindi niya nasabing mag-a-avail siya ng 8%, so automatic na ang na-avail niya is graduated rates. Ito, kita natin para mas makita nyo. Kapag magko-compute ka, kailangan mo tong table na to. So, ulitin natin. Ang gross income, ang taxable income niya is 300,000. Based dito sa table na to, pag 300,000, nandito ka na sa range ng 250 to 400. So, dito ka natitingin. Ngayon, ang itatax mo lang sa 20% ay excess ng 250. So, 300 minus 250 times 20%, the income tax is 10,000 pesos. So, yun yung gamit ng table na to. Next illustration. Illustration 4. So, illustration 4. Mr. JMLH signified his intention to be taxed at 8% income tax rate on gross sales in his first quarter income tax return. He has no other source of income. His total sales for the first 3 quarters amounted to 3 million with fourth quarter sales of 3,500,000. So, nag-exceed ka na dun sa 3 million na VAT threshold. So, ito yung financials niya. First quarter, meron siyang taxable income na 80,000. Second quarter is 80,000. Third quarter is 320,000. And the fourth quarter is 1,580,000. Paano mo ngayon i-compute yung tax due niya? So, gross sales receipts is 6.5. Paano mo nakuha yung 6.5? So, 500 plus 500 plus 2 million plus 3.5 is 6,500,000. Itinotal lang natin to. Next is the less cost of sales of 3 million. Ito siya, 300, 300, 1.2, and 1.2. Less operating expenses of 1.4. So, the total taxable income is 2,060,000 pesos. Paano mo ngayon i-compute yung income tax due? Ganito ang gagawin natin. Ganito. Ibaba natin to para mas makita. Ito yung details kanina. Ang tax due mo, so ang taxable income daw natin based sa naging computation is 2,600,000 pesos. At pag 2,060,000 pesos, ang taxable income mo, pasok siya dito sa table na to within the range of 2 million and 8 million. So, paano siya i-compute? So, 2,060,000, syempre, ang taxable lang daw ng 32% is the excess of 2 million. So, 2,060,000 minus 2 million times 32% is magkano yun? 60,000 times 32% is 19,200. Less, ay plus, itong 490 na basic amount ng tax. So, ang total is 509,200. Less yung 8% na binayaran niya last quarter. Kasi nga, di ba, nung mga unang quarter, 8% lang ang binabayaran niya. So, magkano yung binayaran niya? 3 million less 250,000 times 8%, it is the 220,000 pesos. So, dahil may babayaran siyang 509 at the end of the year, pero nakapagbayad na siya ng first 3 quarters ng 220. So, ang babayaran na lang niya ulit ay 289,200. Ma'am, paano mo nakuha tong 3 million? So, yan yung binayaran, yan yung gross income mo noong first 3 quarters, 500, 500 at 2 million. So, ang assumption dyan, nagbayad siya ng 8% tax rate during the first 3 quarters. Kaso, pagdating ng fourth quarter, nag-exceed kasi siya dun sa 3 million threshold. So, kailangan gamitin ng graduated rate. Pero, syempre, kailangan i-consider mo yung naging payment niya nung first 3 quarter para makuha mo yung kung magkano na lang yung babayaran niya na 289,200. So, that's the next illustration. Another one, illustration 5. This RPST is a prominent independent contractor who offers architectural and engineering services. Since her career flourished, her total gross receipts amounted to 4.250 for taxable year 2018. He recorded cost of services and operating expense for 2,150,000 and 1 million respectively. So here, her income tax liability will be computed as follows. Siyempre, gross receipts mo is 4.2, given na yan, less cost of service na 2.150. So, gross income mo is 2.1, less operating expenses na 1.1. So, ang total taxable income mo lang is 1.1. So, paano mo ngayon i-compute yung tax? So, nag-exceed siya sa VAT threshold na 3 million yung gross receipts mo. So, gagamit ka ng graduated rate. Paano mo siya gagamitin? Pakita ulit natin yung table. Dahil 2018 siya, ito pa ring table na to ang gagamitin. So, ang taxable income is 1.1. Within the range siya ng 800 at 2 million. Pero ang taxable lang doon ng 30% ay yung excess ng 800,000 pesos. So, 1.1 less 800 is 300,000 times 30%. So, 90,000 plus itong basic amount na 130. So, total income tax due is 220,000 pesos.